everyone. Welcome to our Friday morning trading session. Hang on a moment. Almost forgot. Got to get the screen share going on. There we go. So we're at opening with a little bit of a gap up this morning. Yesterday, the market putting in a decent rally out of the open, going sideways. The big news was the decline and then the bounce going back into the close. All this unfolding in about the space of an hour. Very impressive. And then the market continued higher through the overnight. And so we find ourselves with a little bit of a gap here, about a 10-15 point gap. Trade forecaster currently suggesting that we are in swing mode and about to move into scalp mode, which may see the market continue trading sideways, continue being relatively choppy. We'll just have to wait a few moments for them to sort themselves out. You can see here on the hawk, very sideways, very choppy, lots of yellow bars. The falcon also, the filter breaking up, the trend line breaking up. And then, of course, on the raptor, more of the same. Looks like we're pinched pretty well between the primary resistance and the median line. We did generate a number 3 signal here just around the open. I can't help but think that a big gap like that is going to put a little pressure on the market to fill, at least early. But so far, like I said, everything is pretty well balanced. Oh, here we go. We're getting a sell signal now on the raptor. Our soft edge sell. Okay, this is not so bad. We're getting a second push opportunity. I might look at this, but only with limited exposure. What time is it? Oh, we're only about 5 minutes into the session. If you wanted, you could enter below this low, or you could even put a trend line across here. Yeah, I don't know about this. We do have a little bit of a sideways range going on. And of course, when the market is sideways like this, as we were discussing the other day, very often the best thing to do is just wait for it to get outside of that range, look for the retest, and then buy or sell accordingly. All right, looks like they might give it a go here. Mr. Buckaloo is asking any thoughts on having the number 3 signal and number 2 signals so close together. Yes, it indicates choppiness. It indicates that we're not seeing a whole lot of follow through. All right, let's see what we get here. There is a chance we could see a monster move lower and the market fill that gap. I'm just going to look for our high probability profit target, if I can get it. Come on. Like I always say, the nice thing about a counter trend trade is you know when you're wrong. When the market trades back through the highs, you know you're on the wrong side of the trading equation. Tony says, I was looking at the pre-market and it looks to me like a bull flag. Do you see the same thing? Yes, yeah, I can see what you're looking at. It definitely does have that bullish flag flavor to it. And I am being very aggressive on this trade. It's still very early. The safer trade would be to identify the range and let the market actually get outside of this range, look for it to retest, and then look for the sell signal. So there's no question I'm being a little bit more aggressive, trying to get in early. And it's in part because of that great big gap down here. You know, we saw the market rally up a little bit, bounce off of the overnight high. This is all within the first minute or two of trading. So I'm thinking, all right, maybe they don't want to go up. Maybe they want to go down instead. And because it's a counter trend, I chose not to go in too heavy. However, this might be a good opportunity to actually leave a runner in play because, well, we could see the market tail off here to the primary support, which would put it at around 53.72-ish. If we can get some things moving in our favor, that is. this bar getting a little bit fat, not what I wanted to see. Come on, get down there. All right, I may go into parabolic mode. Just for a moment. Just to hold above that swing high. Again, this is sort of the last chance that the sellers have now to recover the trend. All right, come on, sellers. There we go. Obviously now this little swing low 53.82 problematic. Once we get below there, this is actually an early reaction to the median line. There we go. I wonder if I should let this run out. What do we say? Okay. Hopefully I'm not going to regret that, but so far it's behaving nicely. All right, here we are into the hard edge now, where this is typically our target for our trade, the hard edge on a number 2 signal. And we have met our high probability profit objective. Just making a couple notes here in my journal. Yeah, don't tell me. Francisco, yes. Francisco asking, good morning. Should we move into the next contract month? I keep getting a message to change on March 9th into the next contract month. We've been talking about this the last few days because, of course, you get the prompt from NinjaTrader And here I shall show you. You can do a market analyzer if you like. You can go to a website like Bar Chart. Hold on, I just got to hold my stops there. And you can quickly compare your volume. So today's the first day where June is actually has more volume going than March. Darn it! Why didn't I take profit when I had it? Open interest is still higher in March though. So I'll roll over for Monday. I'll go into the June contract on Monday. Expiration, however, is not until next week, end of next week. So I don't know why Ninja prompts so early. But they do. And did I get 1 or 2 ticks there? I got a whole 2 ticks for my effort. Doggone it. Eric, when will you learn to take your profit when you have it? Oh well. I had a good reason for trying to run it out. Do as I say, folks. Right into the hard edge. Gave us a bounce. And then came right back and tagged me again. All right, so a little bit of conflicting signals. We do have a macro pullback signal now in the Hawk. We are into the hard edge on the Eagle, so remember we anticipate some sort of bounce. And there we go. We're getting a bit of a bounce now. All right, so this may well turn now into a larger test of the extreme. We may be heading back here to the highs. Maybe see another failure. Yes, you could interpret this as a hard edge bounce as well, even though we're a couple of ticks short. You could see that as a number 3. And the way I would look at that is, do we have enough room to profit before we start to run into trouble again? There's no denying the NASDAQ is crazy strong. Just because I can't wrap my head around the NASDAQ pushing 5,400 does not mean it's not going to go higher. Floyd says, all the actions on the YM today. Bear with me a moment. I will pull up the YM. Yeah, Thomas is saying too, the mini Dow, the YM, is on a steady downstream. What's the relationship between the YM and the NASDAQ? Well, the YM, of course, the YM is the mini Dow, so it reflects the big Dow, and they tend to be more industrial stocks. The Dow Jones based on 30 stocks. And a moment here while I find my YM Raptor. Where'd I put you? There you go. Typically, these markets move in sync. So we got a nice number one signal out of the open. The mini Dow tends to be less volatile, although you would know that from yesterday's trading. Well, I guess you would. It's been all day or most of the day sideways. Sorry, that's the overnight. Here's yesterday. Well, actually, a good move yesterday. Nice, steady signals. The mini Dow, excellent market to follow as well. The NASDAQ features more tech-type stocks. Tesla, Netflix, Apple, that kind of thing. All right, so here we are back at the highs of the day. This will be an interesting couple of bars that are going to form here now. Are they going to try to knock the market back down? Or are we going to see a rather sustained rally? You say. We did generate a first micro-macro cross higher. Given everything that's going on to the left of the chart, though, it's not surprising that we're seeing some choppiness here. So if that opening gap does not fill today, it is likely to fill early next week, maybe. So we'll keep in mind the market owes us a retest of the 5370 zone. That would fill that gap from the overnight. And we did get a red bar buy signal here as well. Trade forecaster suggesting we're going to be out of scalp mode in about 10 minutes time. Hooray. They actually did pretty good on that little bit of a rally. Not quite to the high probability target yet, but certainly very close. There we go. I think that last little push just got them to the eagle target. I wonder if we're going to get a cloud cross over here on the Raptor, or perhaps another hard edge bounce on the Eagle. Maybe a 4-arrow consolidation. Doggone it. Not going to give us a signal here. Waiting on the Falcon signal as well for the trend change signal. They just keep pressing. Here we go. Now we're getting that little bit of a retest, maybe. Maybe a macro pullback or 4-arrow consolidation in the hawk. Alright, here comes the possible trend change signal. Ay, 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 do I really want to buy in at this level? Oh, there it goes. Okay, here comes the retest, maybe. Clayton says between crude, gold, the mini down, the NASDAQ, only the NASDAQ is long at this time. It is unusual for the NASDAQ and the Dow to be out of sync. Yeah, Clayton says, does that mean anything? That all the markets are out of sync with each other? No, not really. Welcome to the wonderful world of trading. They can be out of sync just because they want to. Clayton says, I've just never seen the YM and the NASDAQ out of sync. Oh yeah, they'll go out of sync a lot. This is interesting. Clayton says, makes me think the NASDAQ will tank. Why doesn't it make you think the YM will rally? Yeah, Clayton says that's a good point. Clayton says I'm a pessimist. It's um, it's important not to bring a bias into your trading here. In fact, let me share a great trading tool with you guys. Here, 1 second while I get it. Here we go. This is a really good trading aid. It's going to save you a lot of money in your trading. The point, of course, is don't overthink things. You're going to run into trouble whenever you try to outsmart the market. You need to trade what's in front of you. And the less bias you can bring to your trade, the better off you will be. Some of my worst days have always been where I entered the market and I said, "Oh, the market looks very bullish today or very bearish." And of course, hours, that's all I would see. I would only see buy signals or sell signals. Okay, Christian's got a question here about the trade forecaster now. So trade forecaster moving into trend mode for a better part of 2 hours, 124 minutes. So Christian asks, Eric, does the trade forecaster in the NASDAQ not say that we are in trend mode and can get higher, or does it mean that we are in trend which can be long or short trend? Yes, Christian, unfortunately the trade forecaster does not have a directional bias to it. What it does is it forecasts the environment. So right now it's saying that we are in trend mode, and we should be in trend mode for the next 2 hours approximately. That could lead to a very prolonged move up or down, but like I say, it's forecasting the environment. So what that means for us is that when the market is in trend mode, it tends to have better follow through and smaller pullbacks. Does that mean that we will see a monster trend develop and the NASDAQ will finish at 5450 today? No, not necessarily. It may mean that we will see, maybe just a smallish trend over the next 2 hours. However, over the next 2 hours, the pullbacks should be minimum. There should be just tiny pullbacks. So when the market is in trend mode, what does that mean for us? It means, well, we can probably take a signal and maybe get away with a tighter stop. You know how normally I would place my stop relatively far away. When it's in trend mode, maybe we can get by with a tighter stop. When it's in trend mode, rather than take profit on target, maybe we'll put a runner in play. Maybe we'll take partial profits. Maybe we'll try to run the whole thing out. So that's what trend mode is suggesting. Scalp mode, of course, just the opposite. That in scalp mode, does that mean we can't see the market make a great big move like this? No. It's not as likely to happen in scalp mode, but it can happen. But what is more likely in scalp mode is that we are going to see some very wild swings on the way there. Therefore, when scalp mode is dominant, we're probably going to need to run a wider stop. We may be better off taking profit on target when we have it, because we don't know when the next big swing is coming. Swing mode is somewhere in between. Swing mode means we can expect a reasonable amount of follow through, but the pullbacks are going to tend to be a little bit more violent or broader than they would be in trend mode, but not nearly as deep as what we might see in scalp mode. So hopefully this holds true, and trend mode means we're going to see a rather smooth progression. Either higher or lower. Yeah, good question from Daniel here. Daniel asks, is flat a trend? Flat usually refers to your position, right? You can be long or short or flat. So when you're not in the trade, you're flat. Normally, I know what you're thinking of though, Daniel. When the market is moving sideways, it's sometimes referred to as a flat market. Although most people I know refer to it as a ranging market or a sideways market. But you can call that a flat market as well. A trade forecaster would probably classify this type of activity as a scalping market. This would fall under scalp mode, which I think is what we just came out of. All right, producing another with trend signal now. Continuation of the red bar buy signal at the highs. Getting a cloud crossover as well here in the Raptor. No real surprise there. At the highs of the morning. The high du jour. We do have an opportunity for a second push on this one. Let's see what else we're getting. Oh, we did get the late filter signal here in the Falcon, and we also got the macro pullback in the Hawk. I really should be looking at the Hawk a little bit more in these kinds of days where the market is not giving us a whole lot of follow through, it seems. One thing about the Hawk with its tighter profit objective, there's something to be said for scalping in and out. Okay, so with this cloud crossover, this is essentially a double top. You could choose to enter above this high. Chances are very good, though. If you get filled here, you will get filled a couple, 3 ticks later as well. Okay, way to go, Tony. Tony says he took that late filter entry signal. He's long the NASDAQ. My concern right now, because the market hasn't really gotten any giddy up to it, is that we might see a little bit more of a pullback before the next rally. do have a little bit of conflict between the markets, though. All right, here they go. They come back with the late filter entry at trendline touch. 4 arrow consolidation slash macro pullback in the hawk. And our cloud crossover now in the raptor. Maybe I will give it another tick or two. Yeah, Clayton says we got 4 entry signals here on the raptor. I know it's quite the sideways range we're experiencing. Well, I think he's referring to the here the triangle hash marks 1, 2, 3 in a row. Yes, there's some definite buying pressure there, but so far no follow through. Market is really, really balanced at this point. I tell you, whichever way it tips from here, it's really likely to set the tone. macro pullback signal here in the hawk. Could even view this current activity as a small sideways trading range. That opening gap still makes me nervous. Sorry, I can't help it. They're stuck. Gonna scrub that trade for just a moment. Christian, you don't know how true that is. Christian says the good thing with the trade manager in this ranging market is to enter a trade, close your eyes, and let the trade manager manage the trade, as the name suggests. Yeah, good comment here from Daniel. Excuse me. Daniel asks, if you look at the eagle without the open gap, would you conclude that we are range bound and we are just now testing the upper range? Yes, I would. So what Daniel's saying is ignore the overnight, and from the market open somewhere right around here, we are in a trading range. Thing with trading ranges is the sellers tend to sell the upper third or quarter. Buyers tend to buy the lower third or quarter. So yes, I would agree with that assessment. They are very evenly balanced though right now. And here we are getting a soft edge sell now on the Falcon. This time I'll leave my profit order in play if I can get it. Looking for a retest now of the hard edge. We're stuck here again. Watching the YM. The YM a little bit more cooperative. They've started their downtrend a little bit more. You know, Tony, it was a tough trade. Tony says I just got spanked on that late filter entry here in the NQ right here. So the late filter entry occurs when the filter goes out of sync, comes back into sync, but the trend line never changes color. All right, so that's what makes that a late filter entry. Tends to be a very reliable signal. Like all our trades, though, we can't trade in a vacuum. We have to take into consideration the context of the market. We have to look at the whole left side of the chart. Now, to me, this looks like it's a valid breakout. It looks like it's a breakout, it's a retest. There's every reason to give that a go. However, because the market seemed a little bit sluggish to start, so we actually opened right around here. Had a little bit of a failed downtrend. Actually, the up move wasn't that bad. I would still be inclined to go in a little bit lighter, though, rather than try to trade it too heavy. But at any rate, the market went up a little bit and then started hesitating and coming down. So I'm assuming, Tony, your stops were right about there. Probably just as well. With a deeper stop, if this bar finishes bullish, I would definitely start to roll my stops up to here now. And look for a chance to either get out near break even or minimize my risk as the trade, if the trade goes higher. The only good thing about day trading is that you tend to get a better feel for the market. I'm using air quotes, feel for the market, than you do when you're trading an end of day chart, because an end of day chart is obviously static. You get no indication of how the market is trying to unfold. Here we can see quite plainly the bars, how the market is struggling, not just to go higher, but to go lower as well. This is a tough trade, though. It is a tough market right now, no question. We're producing a lot of signals without a whole lot of follow-through. Very uncommitted. So we're working a possible first micro macro cross here in the hawk. It is one of our high probability signals. You would need to cover it above the high. Again, I probably would go in for a single and maybe try to extend the profit objective. Yes, Tony, you're right. Tony writes, some days you get the bear, some days the bear gets you. Speaking of which, this bar here with this tall wick to it is making me think I should bring my stops down to here. All right. There we go. We'll take the break even. That's all you get. Aha, see? Scared them away. Come on, just a little more. You can do it. You can do it. Come on. Come on. Come and get me. Ha ha. That was hard work. All right, so it looks like they're going to. Oh, there's a low of the morning. I was going to just about to say it looks like they're going to try to get into that gap after all. Things starting to unwind, but I'll take the profit. Now, of course, if you're trading larger accounts, it's always advisable to have a runner in play. Because you never know, nobody knows that time that you're going to hit that trend where the market just starts to unwind, and it's always good to be able to have a runner to take advantage of that. Some people prefer to re-enter the trade. That's never really been my strong suit. So what did I say the number was? 5370? And that's where we will be looking. That, again, very close to our primary support, 5372. And I think it's safe to say that the buyers have lost their grip on the market from that early rally. It looks like the sellers have overwhelmed them, and now we are a little bit, well, certainly more neutral, maybe even slightly bearish. Natalia, what time zone are you in? Natalia says our support and resistance lines aren't matching. Is there a significant difference between the values? Oh, Natalia is also in Pacific time. Okay, so it's not that. Are the values significantly different? And one more question, who is your data provider? I hope you're not a hunt and peck typist. Otherwise, I'll be torturing you. Two-finger typing. My webmaster is a two-finger typist. I don't know how she does it, but she's very fast. All right, well, I'm going to assume that, oh, there we go. Okay, so Natalia says my Median line is 53.62. 53.62? Maybe you mean 82. Is it really 62? That's way, 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 way down here. The reason I was asking about the data provider is sometimes the data providers will be a few milliseconds off. My data provider is Continuum. If yours is Kinetic or one of the other data providers, even if the data is off just a few milliseconds, sometimes that's enough to skew the values a little bit. Now, I have, here before we go to that, I have, I believe, 10 days loaded. Oh, sorry. Data series. Yes, I'm working off 10 days of data, so that means the indicator is going to look back the last 10 days to draw the lines. Now, I think that's the minimum required. As far as the settings themselves go, no, I just use the default settings throughout. About the only other thing I can think of is to reload everything, to refresh the screen. Okay, Natalia is using Continuum as well. Is your line, sorry Natalia, just one more question. Is your line really 5362 or did you mean to type 82? Okay, well hold on here. Natalia says I've set 40 days, so let me change mine to 40. It shouldn't matter. Pardon. No, you see the values still print the same because the indicator itself only looks back X number of days. Really? Okay, Natalia says definitely 5362 for the median line. That is very unusual. The only other thing I can think it might be is my session template is default 24/5. Just a moment here, I'm going to make it 24/7. I would not think that would change it that much, but let's see what happens here. No, still hasn't varied it. It's still the same values. That is a mystery, Natalia. I'm assuming this is the first time that's happened. If it's a one-off, I wouldn't worry about it too much. I can't explain it, I'm sorry. Oh, you know what, Natalia? No, that wouldn't do it either. I was going to say, are you running anything else on your chart, like maybe it's not the same line. Maybe it's a different line. Where is it? Like if you're running value areas, or here we go, current day open, high, low. I know they like to plot a yellow line in there somewhere. Oh no, even that one's close. Well, if you're certain it's the support and resistance sweet line, I'm hoping it's just an odd occasion for whatever reason it's not printing the same as mine today. That is very unusual. If it continues to happen, be sure to let me know, or better yet, let Ben know. Delia says, this is strange. When I change to the 24/7 template, it fixes it. Okay, so that something in your data today under the 24/5 template is messing things up for you. Like I said, if it persists, then be sure to let Ben know. But if it's just today, every once in a while you get something really quirky happening with your data. I've opened up my charts and I've seen, and this is on the mean Renko bars, which is a range style bar, and I'll see a bar that has a tail on it like this. So I know that somehow the program entered, flipped a couple numbers and entered 53.45 instead of 53.85. And the computer doesn't care, right? The computer will still display it like that. For whatever reason, for the longest time, NinjaTrader on a daily Canadian chart, let me see if it still does it. I'll build you a chart for the Canadian dollar. Okay, it's not doing it anymore. But for the longest time, it would have one of those odd pieces of data that would just mess everything up on the chart. Oops, not enough days. And all I'm doing here is building a continuous chart. If you don't like to see gaps on your daily chart, there's 1,440 minutes in a day, so you can just build a minute chart. No, I'm not able to show you. But the Canadian dollar chart did something just like that. The chart would be like this, and then way back here there would be one little tiny tick way down here that would mess up the entire scaling of the chart. In fact, the chart would often look just like that. It would be just the tiniest thing because this one piece of data way down there messed everything up. So long story short, I'm thinking that's what happened to your chart, Natalia. Somehow you got a little bad piece of data in there. Like I said, if it persists, let us know. Otherwise, if the 24/7 chart fixes it, great, easy fix. But yeah, a 20-point difference between our median lines, that is significant. All right, we're back now at the low of the day, and everything's kind of gone quiet again. We'll hang out here for a little bit, but I have a feeling we might not see too much more out of this. I could see them going sideways for Friday, just kind of a sideways kind of day. Markets like going sideways. If you haven't figured this one out yet, the markets are very content in a sideways range. I think the NASDAQ, pardon me, the mini Dow definitely poised to head lower. Crude oil still in a slide. Gold very sideways this morning, speaking of sideways markets. Well, like I said, we'll hang with them for a little bit here, and otherwise we may close up shop for the week. The market could be a little bit sideways too, because I think there's another FOMC meeting next week. So that could put the nix in the wrinkle, as people like to say. All right, boys and girls, I think we're going to wrap up shop here. Thanks, Clayton. I'm not leaving till Wednesday, though. Clayton says, "Have a great vacation." You've got a few more days to put up with me. So I'll see you again Monday, and we'll try to squeak a few more dollars out of the market Monday, Tuesday, and then as of next Wednesday, I'm going to be away for a couple of weeks. During that time, though, as you're soloing, it's a good idea to make notes. Not just regular journal notes, but if you're hitting a little bit of a snag doing something, especially if you're, took a trade like, say, Tony did this morning with the late filter entry trade, make a note of it. If you have questions, if you can't figure it out and you want to ask me about it, make a note of it. And here's a hint as well. Save a screenshot so that it's a lot easier for me if I know the situation, if I know the time and the day. That's very helpful as well, so that I can go back in the chart and maybe see what was preceding it and how it unfolded afterwards. Like, honestly, the way Tony did this trade, he did nothing wrong. It was a good trade. It was a good trade gone bad. That's the only thing that happened there. And Tony did well by taking the early stop out. So that's what you could call a good loss. You know, he didn't wait until down here to get tagged. He took the stop out early, and really that's the best that you can hope to do when the trade does not work out. All right, so there you go. Even though I'm not going to be in the trading room with you guys for the next couple of weeks, if you hit a snag, if you hit a rough patch, make a couple notes, save a screenshot, make a note of the time of the day, and I will do my best to help you when I get back. All right, so we'll see you Monday then. Talk to you then. Bye for now.